do you think there has been a rise of racism since the start of the pandemic in Australia?
I don't think there has. The vast majority of Australians are very welcoming of peoples from all around the world. Our nature as Australian people has not changed as a result of COVID-19, and all the Chinese students that came to Australia before COVID-19 did so for one reason: the quality of the education, the quality of life and the safety of their well-being in Australia. One assumes that all those factors remain, and as a result, the Chinese authorities' assertions, one, are disappointing, but quite clearly unjustifiable and based, I think, on some immature payback in relation to our advocacy for an international inquiry into COVID-19. I trust they will reconsider their position, because if they don't, they'll be cutting off their nose to spite their face, denying the Chinese students the opportunity of a top world-class quality education in Australia.
We've had the head of the Group of 8 universities on this morning. She said that they've contacted the Chinese embassy and they haven't had any reports of these racist incidents. So that does lend itself to your argument there that it is more politically motivated from the Chinese government. But do you think this is also the time for Australian universities to be reworking their business model on the assumption that we're never going to have the same level of Chinese students in Australia post-pandemic as we did pre-pandemic?
A very valid point that you make there. The universities saw overseas students, in particular a cohort from China, as being a sort of a money tree for them. There was an over-reliance on them. As a result, certain standards, I think, slipped, and there has to be a refocusing on quality education within our universities and the educating of Australians first and foremost, and then, of course, having the wonderful opportunity of intermingling with international students from the four corners of the world, and, of course, Chinese students more than welcome, but I think there was an over-reliance on that one cohort of Chinese students in our universities.
Ahead of the National Cabinet meeting this Friday, we're predicting that there could be some delay to easing of restrictions because of these protests at the weekend. Do you think that that will be the case, and do you think that that's fair enough?
I think the National Cabinet has to be exceptionally careful in relation to easing off the restrictions, but I think the time may well have come for that to occur. Let's be very clear, Black Lives Matter, of course they do. I don't think there is anybody within the Parliament that would think otherwise, and therefore those rallies that were held on the weekend were very selfish. There was no concern for the community. The authorities, medical authorities, had views that it was unsafe to do so, and if their selfish behaviour has resulted in a delay in opening up our economy, it will be costing literally thousands of extra jobs to their fellow Australians and an extra bill of about $1 billion a week. So their selfishness has have consequences way beyond just them prejudicing the health of their fellow Australians. There are unemployment results, there are extra deficit and debt results as well, as a result of their self-indulgent and very selfish behaviour.
We've had a number of politicians attend these rallies. We now know Northern Territory Labor Senator Malarndirri McCarthy is getting tested for COVID out of an abundance of caution. She says to others, including senators, do you think that they should be attending Parliament after attending these protests?
Once again, in a civil society and in a democracy, you need self-discipline and self-regulation. Those Green left politicians that attended the rallies on the weekend clearly did not exercise that. It is good to see that at least one senator is having herself tested for COVID-19. That shows some self-discipline, but at the end of the day, there is nothing in the laws of the Parliament that could stop us from allowing a particular senator or member to attend the Parliament, so they are free to do so, but I trust that they will take the appropriate precautions.